been here in Moscow on scene since about 3 p.m. Since I've been here, I've watched Moscow police cars come in and out of this neighborhood, where officials found 4 people dead. Neighbors say they began noticing police cars flood the area around 12 p.m. today. Moscow police say they responded to a call here on King Road for an unconscious individual. Upon further investigation, officials found 4 people dead. While police investigated the scene, the University of Idaho enacted a shelter-in-place alert as university officials reported a homicide near campus. As we've stated, that alert is lifted at this time. Neighbors say most people living in this area are a part of U of I Greek life or are students, but we do not know the identities of those involved or who lives at the residence. Officials are investigating. This is a very much developing situation, and we will continue to stay on the grounds until we have more information to report back to you.
So police still have this house here near University of Idaho taped off. This right here is where officers found 4 bodies yesterday. We now know the names of those 4 students. They were 20-year-old Ethan Chapin from Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan from Coeur d'Alene, 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves from Rathdrum, Idaho, and 20-year-old Dana Kernodle from Avondale, Arizona, and they were all University of Idaho students. Here's a breakdown of the timeline from what we know so far. Around 1 p.m., we heard reports of a homicide investigation near the college campus. An hour later, the school put out an alert on social media. It said Moscow PD is investigating a homicide on King Road. They asked the community to stay away from the area and shelter in place as a precaution. Around 3 in the afternoon, Krem2 arrived in Moscow. Neighbors said most people living in this area are a part of U of I Greek life or are students. At around 5 in the evening, the Moscow Police Department confirmed they had found 4 people dead, but it wasn't until late last night that they confirmed those victims were students. The university also said Moscow police do not think there's any active threat at the moment as they continue their investigation. Classes for University of Idaho students are canceled for the day. They say they will resume classes tomorrow. In Moscow, Nicole Hernandez, Krem2 News.
Responded to King Road for a call about an unconscious person Sunday afternoon. When police arrived, they found the 4 deceased students inside the home. This morning, the city of Moscow and University of Idaho identified all 4 U of I students. Freshman Ethan Chapin of Conway, Washington, was a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. Dana Kernodle, a junior from Post Falls, was a member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority. Madison Mogan was a senior from Coeur d'Alene, and Kaylee Goncalves was a senior from Rathdrum.
This is a pretty traumatic situation for our campus community.
Dean of Students Blaine Eccles says news of the suspected homicide shocked the Vandal community.
Or the Latah County coroner will release the official ruling. Now this afternoon when we talked to the coroner, she described a gruesome crime scene.
Well, there was a lot of blood. It was a very sad scene.
Mabbitt adds that she does not believe the toxicology report on each of the 4 University of Idaho students will be relevant to the manner or cause of death. Now, Mabbitt has been the county coroner for 16 years in Latah County. She says in that time there have been at least 2 other multiple homicide scenes that she's been involved in. But she says this current homicide investigation is the only one she's been to where there are 4 people at one scene. Now, we are continuing to press local authorities like the Moscow Police Department, as well as the Latah County prosecutor. I have made multiple calls into their offices yesterday and
Moscow Police Chief James Fry, University of Idaho President Scott Green, and the Director of Idaho State Police, Colonel Kendrick Wills, all spoke at today's press conference. Before Wednesday's press conference, Moscow Police had only told the public the 4 students were found dead inside the home late Sunday morning. Wednesday, they revealed that all 4 victims were stabbed to death. Chief Fry says 2 other roommates were at the home during the attack, but were not injured, and he is not calling them witnesses. He said they were also home when police arrived at the house. Fry did not say why the call to police was not until noon on Sunday when the attack happened in the early morning hours. Police said it appeared to be a targeted attack, but did not explain why. Moscow police have also been saying that they do not believe there is an ongoing threat to the community. But today, the tone changed. Police say the search for a suspect continues and people should look out for each other. Meantime, we found this video from a Moscow food truck that's from early Sunday morning. It shows two of the students, Kaylee and Maddie, ordering food around 1:40 a.m.
Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist, that's a CBT therapist, and a licensed mental health counselor. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the contents in this channel. I'd like to start by thanking all my subscribers and welcoming all my new subscribers. I'd love to thank everyone who's left a message or comment in the comment channel. I respect, appreciate all your mindfulness, your interesting thoughts, and the respect you show towards each other and especially towards the victims. I showed you all a couple of clips from Creme 2 News. This was from the beginning of this case, the very first few days. Pay attention to the timelines in the beginning. We were told it was between 3 to 4 a.m. Although I believe it started at 2 a.m. with Ethan and Zano. Unfortunately, you can hear Ethan's mother, Stacey Chapin, saying in an interview to the interviewer that it was her son and her daughter, Ethan's triplets, Macy and Hunter, who called and told their mother that it happened 2 a.m. How else would she have known that this happened at 2 a.m. in the morning? There had to be a reason. The police themselves believed that this happened at 3 a.m., between 3 to 4 a.m. We had the Banfield cops, the undercover cops that were out at that time. It was from their recording that we saw the figures running at 3:12. It was from their recording we heard a female yelling, "Stop it, stop," at 2:55. It was them who stopped the three boys at Banfield from the Alpha something frat. It was them who was talking to Saeed. It was Saeed who was watching those pictures. And all of those questions are questions that need to be answered. There was a lot of suspicious behaviors going on. But the fact that they changed it later to 4:05 to 4:25, I believe, that wasn't the correct timeline at all. And timelines are really important. Because if you don't have the correct timeline, you can't figure out what happened, why it happened, what the motive was, who the targets were, if it was the resident, if it was the house. Pay attention to how complicated it was in the beginning for them to even tell us, the police, if it was the victims, the surviving roommates, or the residents that were the targets. They kept on changing their messages in the press conferences and in Moscow police website and their Facebook. So it started getting complicated. But let's stick to the facts. In my opinion, these are my thoughts and speculations only. I believe this all went down between 2 to 2:20 at least. Because when you look, pay attention to start with, this is really important. From the very beginning, I've been analyzing, watching, paying attention to the first main thing that confuses us all, that they made it a decoy, or I don't know, whatever it is, is the fact that they confused us up to today with Ethan and Xana's timeline. Once you mess up the timeline, you would never know exactly what happened and when it happened. That is really important. We know that there was a call at 3:01 a.m. A 911 call was made from the Sigma Chi to the 911 operator, to the police, because there was a fight allegedly in Sigma Chi. We don't know if it's the same fight that was said that allegedly David Lodge and David B. fought with Ethan and Xana, which is quite possible. That would explain the exculpatory evidence maybe on Bethany Funk's side. She was at the Sigma Chi fraternity party. It was even leaked out to us by the jury, according to Ashley Banfield in the beginning. Her sources showed her that DM told the grand jury that she heard rummaging upstairs and she thought it was the Sigma Chi fraternity boys. Why would she make that decision that it's the Sigma Chi fraternity boys and not other frats? She and DM and BF were texting each other. Not only has it come out now, that was always the rumors from the beginning. So not every rumor that comes out in the beginning is false. All the movements that was happening between 2 to at least 3:30. The physical data movements like the Venmo is being sent at 3:30 were going on after 3. But before 3, I believe all the unalivings took place. Latest by 5 past 3, 6 past 3, because you see the figures running at 3:12, and I really believe they were involved. That is my personal opinion. They changed his timelines so that everything turns more easier for them to make their PC about Brian Christopher Coburn. I'm not saying that Brian is innocent. Up to today, I still stand 50-50. I want to know the truth. I want to get the correct justice for these students. But something is not right with Brian's alibi. Something is not right with him switching off his phone. I'm not the type that will run with the wagon saying that somebody else did it, other people did it, and Koberger did not do it. What I'm trying to say is this: many things as an adult, as a professional that I see is actually red flags concerning about BK. But when I look at even when he put off his phone, it still doesn't make sense. If you go to the timeline between 3 to 4, like they said in the beginning, Koberger put off his phone. He switched off his phone at 3:54. They couldn't get any movements from the tower of his phone. Maybe he didn't switch it off. We don't know what was going on with his phone. But that was the time he was supposed to have left Washington Pullman. So he couldn't have been at 1122 Kings Road when we could hear a female yelling, "Stop it, stop," at 2:55 in the police cam, the body cam of Banfield. There's a reason I always analyze and play Banfield and the grub truck from the beginning of this case, over 2 years, a couple of months. I'm really happy that they brought out those 2 tapes. the grub truck, which was the Twitch video, because it showed everything that was happening. It shows who the other suspects could be. Or not even suspects, let's say people of interest. All the people that were watching their phones that night were people of interest. Whether it was, what's his name, Joe Vito at the grub truck, the crowd that was watching something on their phones and they were calling out Xander's name and Ethan's name, they should be people of interest. Hayden should be a person of interest, allegedly. Saeed, the 3 boys in Banfield, they all should be people of interest, in my opinion. And Shawalter should always be a person of interest. So should be the surviving roommates. It's never made sense for me from the very beginning that they did not call law enforcement over 8 hours. It was actually 9 hours. If you count from 3 a.m., the first time, like 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., they did not call 911 for 9 hours. If you count from 2 a.m., like the coroner said it happened after 2 a.m., then we're talking about 10 hours. It's not a joke. The surviving roommates, whether they were scared, whether they were threatened not to call 911, whatever it was, is unexplainable, unexcusable. 8 hours. You would have gotten out of the shock and the frozen state within an hour, 2 hours. 8 hours. And let's not forget, this is the reason I made this clip. They did not clean the crime scene because you heard the coroner. She said it was a bloody crime scene. It was really a horrific crime scene. There's blood on the walls. Let's not forget. So these people did not do any cleaning up. I remember in the start, the professions, former FBIs and all were saying that this couldn't have been, this had to be someone who's did this first time unalivings, because it was so messy, the crime scene. So they couldn't have called the cleaning crew and such things. But it's kind of strange that DM thought she saw the suspect with the Hoover. Why would someone be carrying a Hoover? Was she really high on something? Something doesn't add up with DM's statements. She saw one bushy eyebrow. Explain that. How could she even... I wonder if they pulled up people and they told her to check with one set of eyebrows, if it was bushy or not. I still believe up to today, the police were giving out the tip line number for the FBI and all the suspects who were involved in these crimes, they all were the Greek life. They were frats and sororities. They decided to call in and accuse Koberger. Somehow or the other, they got his church DNA on the knife sheet. And I believe that all these people know each other. DM is calling the same private share rider. So these people know their whereabouts, these roommates. There was already beef going on, not only with Ethan and Xana and the Davids and the Sigma Chi or Sigma Chi or Chi, but there was actually even trouble going on in Paradise in 1122 Kings Road. How do I know that? Pay attention to Maddie's TikTok. She got over 4,600 people who watched it, who sent comments, because she, I personally believe, exposed DM is gender. She said, like this if you're gay, Jaden, as Jaden Smith, allegedly. And it was a very disturbing song that I can't play, others are getting a copyright strike. what it's all about, you can see DM being bullied severely. She's wearing a blue wig, they're hazing her, they have drinks shoved up her mouth, she's gagged up in a room by herself. Why did her father call her? The text, 911 text showed that. He called her, and she called him. Her boyfriend Quinn was there that night. Quinn Kelly. What happened? Did her father and boyfriend come there that night to clear out, or just come to threaten maybe Maddie for what she did to DM, and did it get out of hand? Just asking the question. I'm not saying that's what happened. The father is threatening anyone who messes with his daughters or says anything about his daughters. He was being very aggressive and threatening them. So could he have been destroyed that his daughter was, his daughter is being making fun of for her gender? Could that be possible? It's no secret that DM had another gender. Let's not forget that Halloween happened 2 weeks, 13 days before the quadruples. Maddie put that up, so imagine how humiliated DM must have felt. Maybe she was hiding a secret. These girls started getting to know each other. They moved in from June. And when DM was being bullied, allegedly in Halloween, let's not forget, I don't believe Kaylee was there at all. She wasn't in any of the pictures. So why did DM invite Kaylee as a plus one? I wonder. Did she have beef with Kaylee? I found it strange that Ethan's mother, Stacy Chapin, said that we wanted to speak for Ethan. We didn't want anyone else speaking for our son. And this was the first or second day. She said there's been rumors going on and there wasn't any love triangle going on. I wonder, was there any love triangle? Why would an adult mother decide to use those words? They didn't come out right. Was anyone else, was there 3 people maybe dating in the house, inside the house? I'm just asking questions. Something doesn't make sense. They have the same private share driver, Eric G. That's who DM was even texting. She wanted to know if he was still at work. And he was at work because he obviously dropped off Kaylee and Maddie 25 minutes before she sent him that text. I wonder why. What did she want of the private shared driver? What did she want from him? Where did she want him to drive her to? It was 10 past 2 a.m. at night. She just got home at 1 a.m. Why would she want to leave the house at 2:10, 1 hour later, 1 hour and 10 minutes later? This doesn't make sense. If Kaylee and Maddie got home at 1:45, DM was aware of that. Why did she need to call that driver at 10 past 2? Because I believe Zana and Ethan were being unalived from 2 a.m. And DM just wanted to get out of the place. But I don't think she got out because that would not make her a witness. Then they can't say in the affidavit that DM witnessed everything and she heard a man saying, "I'm here to help her." Then the feds will get into trouble themselves. That's a federal crime to lie. She must have still stayed at home, but I wonder, wasn't she worried that there were 4 people unalived inside the house, no matter whoever did it? Why isn't she calling law enforcement? Isn't she and BF scared? And why did Maddie call BF? Why didn't BF pick up? There's so many things that doesn't make sense. But what I'm trying to say in this clip is the timelines are completely wrong. This all happened between 2 a.m. to 3:30. In fact, to 3, 5 past 3, 6 past 3, when the figures are running. Koberger's timeline doesn't come well. It doesn't fit into the 3 to 4 a.m. It just feels like they're trying to make it fit with the 5 past 4 to 4:25 timeline. Koberger couldn't have done this crime, not by himself. The way he holds things, he has autism. I've worked with people with autism, and I could see that from the very start. The way even he holds his hands, his fingers. I used to always mention how he walks. I can't see him. I can't picture him inside the house. He couldn't have done this by himself. There's a white car keeping on going up and down the grub truck, and it looks like it's Hannah Clee's brother and friend. The one who throws his food with the brown jacket, and the one with the black jacket that looks like Hannah Clee herself. They get into a white car and they get off a white car, so I wonder if that white car was involved. There's so much going on there, but always focus on the timeline. Once we get the timeline right, everything should come out in court. And I'm telling you, the timeline doesn't look like Koberger was involved right now. I'm talking about like this is 2 years and a couple of months in. Makes more sense that the Greek lifestyle was involved. Look at the Vandals, how they behave. Look at how they beat up that boy Tim a year and a half ago. I can easily see them threatening even DM and BF not to talk. What is strange is how did they let all these people go home for the holidays? It's shocking. For Thanksgiving, an active crime happened, a quadruple, 4 people unalived, and they let these people go without taking DNA samples. It won't even be the same.
The Moscow Police Department has faced scrutiny for not providing as much information about the case as some would like to know.
You know, there's some things that only the people that were at that scene would know. And so you definitely don't want to release that information to the public.
Gary Jenkins is the former chief of Pullman Police and now serves in that role for the WSU Police Department. He says sharing details is a balancing act, keeping people safe and informed without compromising the investigation.
Just trying to make sure that when detectives go out and interview people, it's based on what they know, not what they've heard on the news.
The University of Idaho told students this week they could go home early for Thanksgiving break if they didn't feel safe around campus, and many already have. Jenkins says that could pose a challenge for detectives trying to interview witnesses. It was for him during the hazing death of Sam Martinez, which also occurred right before Thanksgiving break in 2019.
Most of the witnesses left town, and that's the type of investigation you need to have a one-on-one in-person interview. And so it does definitely complicate that investigation.
Jenkins says the answers all of us want could take time.
I agree with Jenkins, the chief of Pullman, former chief. He's completely right. They shouldn't have, in a way, let anyone go home for Thanksgiving break. You have an active quadruple scene here. They should have taken the DNA samples of these people. They should have spoken to them face to face. They should have found out, downloaded their data and everything from them, found out exactly where they were, what their alibis were about, what if they were working with BK, what if they were working with somebody else, What if they did this themselves? We know for a fact that Showalter went home. He drove to his parents' cabin. So they must have definitely not seen him face to face. Did he show his alibi? Did he show his receipts, where he was? He drove 5.5 hours. Did he stop on the way? Did anyone see him? Did anyone hear about him that night after the girls ditched him? The college students themselves had an eye on not only the Sigma Chi fraternity and other frats, but especially Showalter and Jagdi. Jagdi was the last to be ruled out, and that is the truth. Showalter was the last person to see the girls alive. He even passed threats. They're going to get you for that, Maddie. So there was a lot going on that night. Why are they ignoring the threats? He should be suspect number one. He was the last person to see them and threaten them. And they ditched him. Kaylee was taking pictures of him. Everything was going down at the Grove Truck, Banfield, and the Corner Club. That's why I've always said it's the frats that need to be looked into more deeply, more than, like they used to say in the beginning, they're being looked through a microscope. No, they need something deeper than a microscope. These boys were busy writing at 4chan, Reddit, and everything. Somebody was boasting about these crimes. Let's not forget that. Even way after BK was inside. Paparazzis was still going on when BK was inside too. All the students, I personally believe, in the university know exactly what happened that night. Even the neighbors, they were at the grub truck, Dakota and Heather. But they don't want to talk. Nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to face the music, the consequences. That I can understand. But not to call the police for 8 hours is ridiculous. Pay attention to how Chief Fry doesn't call them witnesses, the surviving roommates. He prefers calling them the surviving roommates. We're just there, he said. All these crimes end between 2 to maybe 3 a.m. Because I believe it was first Ethan and Zana. Between 2 to 2:10, 2:15. That's when DM is calling Eric, the private share ride driver. And then you have something happening to Maddie and Kaylee exactly after 2:52, the last call to Jagdi. From then onwards, things goes down south. It really goes deep. It goes completely wrong because you can hear a female yelling, "Stop it, stop." Somebody was in danger that night. It's really sad that they couldn't be saved. But I still don't understand. If you're surviving roommates and you care about your roommates, number one, you would have called the police. If you didn't even have empathy, you'd have called the police because you would have thought about your safety. That is what doesn't make sense to me as a counselor. You must have felt really safe to be at a premises where an active quadruple is happening. Make that make sense. Something is not right there. That's why I believe the roommates could be involved. They could know something, allegedly. But being involved doesn't mean necessary that they took the weapon and did it. But they could have been behind it. They could have left the doors open on purpose. They could have been working with the people involved in it. Because yes, DM had motives. She was being bullied 13 days before that. And not to call law enforcement and 911 immediately. Yes, what's her name? BF had her motives. She had rugs that she's selling. It's on her Venmos. And that's the truth. I've shown you all. You can go back to my clips and watch it. There was too many things going on. I believe it was a crime of passion. It was revenge. This was personal. This was a lot of hate, anger, aggressive behavior, like Shawalter allegedly, like the Davids. These are the frats and Greek people, Greek style, who did it. And then we have the same bullying continues with Hannah Cleave and with Hudson Lindo. Within 6 months, the quadruples, Hannah and Hudson Lindo happened. 6 people within 6-7 months. I think there's a pattern of mean girls and bullying going on. And I believe Maddie was one of the main targets. She was actually allegedly mutilated. She rests in peace. Kaylee got one of the worst ones because we heard she was STABBED over 50 times. And if that is the truth, the parents would know it. They're saying it. And it's because they cremated their daughter. That's another question I have. Why were all the 4 students cremated? And where is the DNA of the other students under their nails? They told us about Maddie that there was 3 mixed DNAs. What about Xana, Ethan, and Kaylee? What was found under their nails? Don't forget the hands were bagged. Let me know what y'all think. There's something about the surviving roommates, Hunter, Emily, the Davids, the Jacks. I'm not accusing them, but nothing makes sense with all of them. Saeed, Jovito, the boys at Banfield, the people yelling out Ethan and Xana's name at the grub truck, the other people watching the pictures like Hayden and everyone else. I'm just saying that they know more than they're saying. I'm not saying that they all are involved, but they know something. Hannah Clee's brothers were there with the white Hyundai Elantra. What if it was them? What if it was with Beaky? Just asking. Let me know what y'all think. Have a lovely evening. Bye.